You ever look around and wonder how some people walk into a room like they own it? Like they were born with this unshakable confidence, while the rest of us are stuck overthinking every word, every step, every glance. Let's be real. Most people aren't born with confidence. They build it quietly, slowly, and most importantly, authentically. You don't need to fake it. You don't need to pretend to be someone you're not. Confidence isn't about pretending. It's about becoming. And today, we're going to talk about exactly how to do that, because you deserve to feel solid in your skin without putting on an act. This isn't about tricks or gimmicks. It's about building something real. Now, let me say this up front. Real confidence doesn't start when people clap for you. It starts when you're alone, when no one is watching, when you decide you're worthy even without the spotlight. That's the kind of confidence that lasts. And if you're watching this thinking, "That's not me, I'm too awkward, too shy, I overthink everything," that's okay. That's where you begin. You don't need to be loud to be confident. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need the willingness to start showing up as yourself, a little more every day. So how do you do that? Let's walk through it piece by piece. First, you've got to get honest about where your lack of confidence is coming from. A lot of us carry this invisible weight. Things people told us when we were kids, failures that made us doubt ourselves, moments we didn't feel good enough. And instead of facing those feelings, we bury them. We cover them up with fake smiles or avoidance or perfectionism. But here's the truth. You can't build true confidence on top of fear and shame. You have to unpack that stuff. It doesn't mean you have to relive your pain, but you do have to call it out. Because once you can see it clearly, it loses its power, and that's where you start to take your power back. Second, get clear on who you really are, not who people expect you to be, not who you think you need to be to get approval. Who are you really? What do you value? What makes you feel alive? Because confidence comes from alignment. When the way you show up on the outside actually matches who you are on the inside, that's when confidence feels natural. You're not acting. You're not faking it. You're just being you, without apology. And no, you don't need to have your whole identity figured out to be confident. But start small. Own your quirks. Speak up when you have something to say. Stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never built for you. Now, here's something that a lot of people miss. Confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about showing up in spite of the fear. Every confident person you've ever seen has felt fear. The difference is they didn't let that fear run the show. They felt the fear and did it anyway. And every time you do that, every time you choose courage over comfort, your confidence grows. Not in a dramatic overnight kind of way, but in quiet, steady steps. Let's get even more practical. Want to improve your confidence? Keep promises to yourself, seriously. If you say you're going to wake up early, wake up early. If you say you're going to hit the gym, go. Not because it's about achievement, but because every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can trust yourself. That's a big deal. Confidence isn't just about how the world sees you. It's about how you see you. And nothing builds self-respect like following through. You also need to challenge your inner critic. You know that voice, the one that tells you you're not smart enough, not good-looking enough, not talented enough. That voice is a liar, and you don't have to believe everything it says. Start noticing it. Catch it in the act. Then replace those thoughts with something better. Not fake positivity, but real, grounded truths. Like, I'm doing the best I can and that's enough. Or, I have value even when I mess up. Speak to yourself like you would to someone you love. Because how you talk to yourself matters. It shapes your self-image. It shapes your energy. It shapes how you walk through the world. And here's a little secret. Confident people don't wait to feel confident before they take action. They act first. Confidence comes from doing, from learning, from messing up and realizing the world didn't end. So don't wait. Start where you are. Speak up in the meeting even if your voice shakes. Share your ideas even if they're not perfect. Put yourself out there even if you feel awkward. The more you do it, the less scary it becomes. You build proof. You gather evidence. And slowly you start to believe, hey, maybe I can handle this. Now let's talk about environment, because you can't build unshakable confidence if you're constantly surrounded by people who tear you down. If your circle doesn't support your growth, it's time to audit your circle. You don't need people who only hype you up when you're winning. You need people who believe in you when you're struggling, who remind you of your worth when you forget. Confidence is contagious. Surround yourself with people who walk in their truth, and it'll inspire you to do the same. But don't forget this part either. Confidence also comes from lifting others up, not from being the smartest or loudest person in the room, but from helping others shine. Because when you operate from a place of abundance, you stop seeing others as competition. You start realizing that someone else's success doesn't dim yours. It actually reflects what's possible. And when you encourage someone else, you remind yourself that you have value too. Look, building confidence isn't about being perfect. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about coming home to who you've always been underneath the fear, the doubt, the pressure to be someone else. It's not always easy. You'll have days when you slip, days when the voice of insecurity feels louder than usual. That's okay. Confidence isn't a straight line. It's a practice, a commitment, a journey. So on the hard days, be gentle with yourself. And remember that confidence doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it's just showing up. Sometimes it's choosing not to shrink. Sometimes it's standing your ground even when your voice shakes. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to pretend. All you have to do is show up as you, real, imperfect, growing. That's the version of you the world needs. That's the version of you that's magnetic. Because authenticity is powerful. It draws people in. It creates connection. It builds trust. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting until you have it all figured out. Take the step. Speak the truth. Stand a little taller. Because the truth is, you already have everything you need. Confidence isn't something you find. It's something you remember. And every time you choose honesty over perfection, action over hesitation, growth over comfort, you step into that version of you who knows they're enough exactly as they are. That's how you build real, lasting confidence. Not by faking it, but by becoming it. And trust me, you're on your way.